I would imagine. Yes, awesome. We are live and good to go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Zenobia Harris. I'm the CEO for the Kent Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to another interview with one of our members. Welcome to Chamber Chat. This is a business interview from one of our partners in the community, Orion. Welcome, Kathy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. The goal here for the Chamber Chat is really just to find out about some of our community partners, what impact you are having. And so we'll start with a very easy question. Tell me a little bit about Orion.
All right. So Orion is a social enterprise. We are a nonprofit based out of Auburn. We also have a site in Mukilteo. And we are a competitive aerospace business, and we offer on-the-job training for adults who maybe have been excluded from the workforce. So that is Orion in a nutshell, but we can dig deeper. So let me know if you want me to roll or if you have other questions that you want me to feed off here. So.
Yeah, roll on with that, because you said
Okay.
folks that have been left out. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? So who's your target market?
So our market, I'll kind of take it in tiers, have some notes so that I don't leave some things out here, but do my best to just kind of connect. So we're a competitive aerospace business in Auburn. We have a 100,000 square foot facility. We're tier one and supplier in the commercial aerospace business. So competitive, we meet quality delivery standards. So really a partner. We don't get any breaks per se because we're a nonprofit, but we overlay that our on-the-job training throughout that business. And so what that means is individuals come in and they get skills training and they get supports, they get vocational counseling, they get job placement support. We engage with businesses in the community to provide those services. And we kind of have four things that we do. And I'll talk about the populations in a second, but our biggest goal is that our theory of change, if you would, meaning like kind of what's the overriding piece of what we do as a business, is that we build stability, ability, and belief for individuals to access long-term employment. And there's kind of four key things that happen within that. And that is that people get employment, but even if they don't leave with a job, they're getting the skills, the technical skills and the soft skills to kind of move forward in their vocational path. They're gaining belief in themselves. That's a big piece of what we hear, is that people come in and they don't feel like they can because of whatever barrier they're facing. And then they reduce barriers. So sometimes people come in and sometimes life happens, and we support them to kind of navigate through those things. So who we support and what that kind of not engaged in the labor market, there's a huge untapped labor market out there. So individuals who are low income are many times individuals who also have a disability. So those are not, there's a big overlap between those two groups. So 95+% of the people we support are low income, and 92+% have a disability. And they don't necessarily lead with that. That's not, if you think about your circle of people that you engage with, many have a disability, anxiety, depression. I mean, we're coming out of this pandemic, and it is people who maybe didn't have stuff before, or really kept it at bay, are really feeling the effects of some of these symptoms that I think are who we support. So maybe they were a youth who weren't connected, somebody exiting the justice system. About 30% of people we support have had some interface with justice or substance use disorder. So really looking for a new opportunity and a new start, and amazing talent. Like for the manufacturing base, right? We just hired an individual to be a CNC operator, moving on and training him, but had spent some time in incarcerated, but like amazing, so smart, so capable, going to be a great mentor for the people in our program. So really looking at that untapped labor market. So people with disabilities, learning disabilities, attention barriers, people who have behavioral health, who have autism. So those are the populations that I think we support, and maybe they haven't found their place in the labor market. So we offer the job training. We kind of get in there, get to know them through the training that we provide. They come 32 hours a week to our training program. We get to know them, what their strengths are. And then we make these matches to the labor market. So we get to know your business. And then we really want to dig in, and we really want to make that match so that person's successful and that a business in the community is successful. They fill the position they're looking to fill, and they fill it with a person who maybe hadn't found their way yet. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So I've taken a tour at Orion, and when you talk about the soft skills and the technical skills, I went into one of your classrooms and there's this great graphic and it talks about being on time, your time management, the way that you dress, the way that you speak, right? All of these things that I think some folks entering the labor market are missing some of the soft skills. So I appreciated that you all talk about some of the things. Like, you can be really great at your job, but if you can't make it every day on time, that's going to be a barrier for you, and
right.
potentially take you out of the market or out of that organization. So I appreciate the wraparound services. I also noticed that there is a pantry there for folks that may be facing insecurities as it relates to food, and so you guys have a there. So I think what I've learned is that Orion really cares about its clients and making sure that their full self can show up to work. And that means having the support that you need. So I definitely wanted to shout you all out for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So 30 hours a week, right? How would someone get connected with Orion? Is it a referral service? Can I just come to the facility in Auburn? Talk a little bit about someone who may be interested in going into another field or experience some of the things that you just talked about. How would they get connected with Orion?
Yeah, so there are 3 programs we offer in our facility in Orion. The manufacturing is the largest one. And then we have a clerical training program, clerical customer service, that has 6 seats. It's a self-directed program. And then we have a custodial training program. So people learn about those. They can walk in the door any Monday at 9 a.m. We don't require that you have like a specific referral source or jump through some any specific process, right? So you come in and say, I need help finding a job or getting training or getting skills, and we bring you in and walk you through the process. So anyone interested in the training program would come in at 9 a.m. on Monday. And if they can't, they can always reach out to us and we can walk them through and answer questions that they have. For businesses, it would be reaching out to one of our employment services team members. Tammy Clark is our job developer. So she engages with our business community on jobs that are available. And if you're looking for talent, we've got talent, feel free to reach out for her. And you can find us through, I'm sure, the site, and you'll give our information out as well. So
Yeah. There's a little ticker down at the bottom of the screen here. So
there we go. Orion Works.
You can, can visit the website, which is orionworks.org. And the phone number is 253-661-7805.
So you can reach me if you have questions on intake or referrals. We braid together funding, so we get support from the cities. We have some support from the city of Kent to support individuals who are impacted by COVID, but all the cities. And then we braid together other supports for people. And they don't have to say, hey, I have this barrier or disability or anything. Just come in and say, hey, I need some help navigating the process, or if you know somebody in your family. That would be.
Yeah. Great. So tell me a little bit. So vice president of services, what does that mean? What does a day in a life look like for a vice president of services for you, Kathy?
I feel like that's in other duties as assigned. No, so my role, I've been with Orion 21 years last week. And then Orion just celebrated 65 years this week. So I've been there a chunk of the time, but was not a starting member of Orion. Not quite that old yet. So, so my role is coordinating all the services, anything client centric, and then supporting the strategic direction of Orion. So for me, it is working with our board on kind of how does the mission go? How do we grow? What do we do? We're a kind of growth-oriented organization. When I started, we were pretty small. We had 30 staff. In 2019, pre-pandemic, we were at 400. So we had a great run. We had some reductions in the pandemic, but are coming back, inching our way back. So we're probably about 230 staff at this point, back to moving back towards where we were. So my role, I support our grant writing, I support our services, developing how we fund, I support the services, the actual hands-on, like what does the process look like for our clients? How do we engage our employer community and support them to hire talent? What does that look like? Listening to the individuals who come to our door and look for services and listening to what they need and what their fears and hopes and challenges and needs are, and designing curriculum and services to meet those needs. And those are, I think, the pieces. So get a lot of freedom as a private organization to kind of create what we need. And so when we see specific needs within our community, we want to develop those opportunities to meet those. So so that's my job.
Yeah. Very adaptable, right? Filling in the gaps, I think is very important. And being able to be agile as an organization is very important. So, when something like COVID happened, okay, how do we scale this? But then after COVID, right? So we are at a point where we are hopefully moving up and forward from COVID. Orion is back to, getting more staff. Tell me some of the challenges that you all saw other than having to lay folks off. What are some of the challenges that you saw during COVID? But now what
changed
during that time that you're like, oh, this was a good idea. We should have been doing this all along. Yeah.
So we really stuck with it through COVID. So we are manufacturing, we're job training. We didn't go remote. So we had about 4 weeks where we went away. But if we look to the future, I think there's definitely, for me, the strategic piece is maybe not from the business side. We're really looking at diversification of outside of commercial aerospace. We have a great business and we have opportunity to grow that business within the skill sets that we have and offer more services to individuals we support. So that is a piece of our future of looking at how do we engage further down the road to space, defense, other types of manufacturing that might fit in our wheelhouse. And do that. I think, to me, we are always looking at like what services, how do we engage our community differently as the pandemic, but then also pre-pandemic, increasing needs for unhoused and homeless individuals. So how do we design curriculum and supports to meet the needs of those individuals? And our model doesn't change that much, but sometimes I think the touch that we have with individuals shifts. So more hands-on support for individuals who might be facing other barriers or intensive barriers. I think our labor market has shifted, right? So it's people are hiring lots. So we're seeing people with sometimes a little more need to kind of settle some of that stuff before they move into the labor market. So giving them the support they need to kind of navigate that. Listening to our employer partners around what supports they need for individuals and how that shifts is important to us as well. So I don't know if that answered the question that you had there, but to me, it's really organizationally continuing to grow and getting back to where we were and looking at how we do that and how we balance our business, but then also listening to our community. So those are it didn't change. It just continues to be the push that we have. Yeah.
No, that definitely answered the question. So we always use this term, you say manufacturing, right? So the chamber, part of what we do is go into the K through 12 system and talk about opportunities, job opportunities, living wage opportunities, trade schools. We have a great relationship with Green River College and Highline College. And so in Written Technical College, my thing is, can you talk a little bit about what manufacturing means? Because I don't want someone to be listening to this interview and go, oh, I don't want to be in manufacturing or aerospace. I'm not smart enough to be in aerospace. It sounds really big. So can you kind of maybe drill down a little bit in lay terms?
Yeah. So our job training, especially, I'll kind of dig into that. That's my side of the house. But so individuals come in and they're going to work on putting parts together. So simple parts, rubber components that you're putting screws and nuts and bolts and assembling those. And so that's probably one of the first places that you're going to start. So really just, you're not going to hurt yourself or the part by doing this. So good, just basic entry into what this looks like. And then you're going to talk to our staff. Our mentors are like the backbone of what we do, and they are our on-the-job trainers. So you're going to be working closely with a manufacturing staff member who's kind of got your back, and they're supporting you in this process. You're also going to work with one of our counselors who's going to really guide you and look at you and talk to you about your strengths and what we're seeing and what you want. And so if you hate doing assembly or packaging tasks, we're going to move you out of there in a couple of weeks. We're going to get you doing something else. So the environment is different. So it might include, a shipping and receiving, a warehousing kind of component. It might be working on a machine. And we don't just put you on a machine and say, good luck. You're
Yes.
working with that mentor. We're talking with you about like what that machine does. We're coaching you on what we're expecting from you and checking in with you and the quality and the operation. So it might be really operating through like operating the machine through buttons and like deburring parts and making sure it's running smoothly. And then getting your mentor if you're like something's, funky going on, but they're going to be right there with you. They're not going to be like literally on your arm, but usually, but they're going to be right in the work area with you. So different tasks, assembly, packaging. We're going to do more technical riveting, and we're going to do shipping and receiving, machine operations. So you could operate a saw, but most of the machines have lots of protection. So you might be loading a part on a machine and then pushing buttons to operate that machine. Most of the work is done through CNC and not through like the old, drill press and that at this point. So much of the work is not as manual, but you're operating the machine and deburring the pieces. So it's not about 30 to 40% of the people we support also, I think it's important to note, are women. So while women sometimes don't think that this is their cup of tea, hope that changes at some point. But women have incredible mechanical aptitudes, and this is a great job for women. I think it is also a technical job. I think sometimes people think of it as kind of a more blue collar manual, but it's pretty cool. The machinery we have is pretty impressive, and the jobs that people get. If we want to talk about those outcomes, we help hundreds of people find their way and find jobs in the community. Last year, our average wage, or even this year, our average wage is about $17 an hour for people finding jobs outside of Orion. But most people were either not engaged in the labor market or had never been engaged. But the average gap is over 2 years. So we're getting people into jobs that are starting points, jobs that have benefits, have a pathway to success, and have opportunities for the future for growth. So really, we're trying to get you, the average time in the program is a little over 4 months. So we're then getting you your paid minimum wage, and then we're getting you that next step in terms of a job that has that potential to grow and continue to get your footing and earn a living wage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great. Are we using the word teacher or mentor interchangeably? Is
Yeah,
that
I
the
think it's
same?
on the job trainer. So I would say trainer and mentor. So, and the idea is that our mentors are, they are there to support you. They're giving you feedback on your performance. They're supporting you. They're finding your strengths and hopefully being that mentor for you along your journey. And that's what we hear back. That's where we came up with calling these staff mentors, because they said that the best connection they had was with the person who was training them and who made them believe in themselves and realize their potential. So that really is that when we say, who's your mentor, that would be what we hope somebody says when they walk away, and what people do say.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I like the plug for women, right? I think as women, sometimes we kind of box ourselves out of positions and situations. And I think, like you said, we have a great aptitude for mathematics and technical things. So I think it would be great. I would encourage anyone to go down and check out what Orion has to offer. Before we get going, tell me a little bit about you said that you guys downsized during COVID. You're moving forward. Are you guys currently hiring? If so, what type of positions are you looking for?
So we have a few positions open. I have them listed here. So our website, Orion Works, you can always look, orionworks.org. You can always click on that, and you'll be able to see the current openings that we have. If you go to the careers tab on that. For right now in Auburn, we have an intake and outreach position working on my team. We also have a job developer working on my team. So 2 positions. We have a pretty small group. Pretty awesome. So let us know if you have an interest in either of those. And in the manufacturing business, we have a hydraulic assembly tech. We have production scheduling. So that's in the offices. It's a production scheduling and program specialist position that's in the office for the manufacturing division. And we have clamp block assembly tech. And so that is somebody who will definitely be a mentor in supporting our job training, but then also producing parts. It's a great kind of mix of the 2 worlds where you're supporting individuals. A lot of our staff have a connection to I think our mission, and not that somebody came through that they know, but maybe they experience barriers or somebody in their family, and they just have, hope that, and I think all of us, if we look, have been impacted by disability or by somebody involved in the justice system or who's dealt with addiction. And so really it's people seeing opportunity, seeing themselves reflected in what we do and hoping that there's opportunity for their loved ones. So.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Yeah, I noticed. So what we'll do is we will have Liza, who's in the background here, post this, post the jobs, post the link for anyone that's searching for a job, looking to do maybe a different career. And then we'll be sure to post them on our Kent Chamber website. What keeps you up at night, Kathy, when you're thinking about the services that Orion offers? And I'm asking this question because as a chamber, right, our job is to fill in the gap, right? You tell us an issue and we help you find a solution. So just tell me one thing that maybe is keeping you up at night as it relates to increasing your footprint in Auburn and also in Kent.
Wow. That was an unexpected. I don't know exactly what would keep me up at night. To me, it's probably more how do I create the right partners to meet the needs for our clients and fund our mission? I think those are the gaps. I think both of those. I think there are making sure that we're reaching the right people who will benefit from what we have to offer. I think is a big piece. Meeting the right partners to hire individuals and meeting the right partners to fund what we do. So we do some limited fundraising. So we do our Giving Tools Day is coming up the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So if anyone is eager to support our mission, that would be a way to do it. You can do that right through our site as well.
Great. Yeah, we'll make sure that we post that link. I feel like we got a flyer, and so it's probably going to come up in a newsletter or something. So we'll definitely do that. That rings a bell. It's on our calendar for sure.
Yeah.
When you talk about partners, I think that's important, right? Because the folks that you are serving are folks that maybe haven't had access before or disadvantaged, whatever word you want to use. Essentially, they didn't have an opportunity for whatever reason. And so there are a lot of organizations that are on their face saying, I want to have a more diverse group of individuals working here. I want to allow people to come in and influence our culture. And I would say that this is a perfect opportunity to do that with a partner with Orion because they are taking all of the necessary steps to ensure that when someone leaves Orion and goes into your organization, not only do they have the technical skills, but they have the soft skills. And so it'd be a great partnership. Again, as a business, if you are saying, and what's keeping you up at night is that you can't figure out how to diversify your workforce, partner with Orion. Partner with someone who is actually out there doing the work and not creating more barriers. So I appreciate that. I value diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it seems like Orion, it's built into the fabric of what they do. So
Thank you for that. So there is a lot of energy, if I could just build on that, around diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And don't leave people out of that dialogue. There's intersectionality around, I think, race and ethnicity, as well as barriers in terms of poverty and disability. And, I think when I started at Orion, we really didn't look at people with criminal histories as potential. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But that's that really touches on what is your hiring practice? And I think about what those barriers are. I sat on a panel a couple of weeks ago and somebody who was deaf said the phone interview, right? Like they can't get through a phone interview. And so that, even with a relay service or an interpreter, then that, that's the barrier that you still aren't going to come away as an employer with the best impression of this individual. So think about how you're onboarding and where are you sourcing talents. I had the pleasure of presenting with somebody who'd experienced incarceration and talked about his journey to employment. But if you're literally just putting him in the no pile, you're missing out on opportunity. And there's questions that you can ask somebody. An employer asked a great question of, hey, we've tried that, but got burned. And so what do you do? And the thing is, you call us or another nonprofit and you say, hey, let's look at diversifying and looking at that untapped labor market. Because I can ask those questions. I can find out what somebody's strengths are. I can find out what's going to make somebody successful at your business. and really make sure that we're making the right match. I just did some statistics before this, and our retention rate for people exiting the program who participate in our job development is I think 86% right now.
Wow.
So we're making good job matches. So we're trying to figure out what their strengths are and how they match. And so individuals, I think, really sometimes don't see where they fit in. And it's really our job to figure out like their strengths, make them see those strengths, and really find out what you need as a business and match those. But there's a huge untapped labor market, and I would challenge businesses to think about what barriers do they put up that exclude people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to end, a very powerful place to end. And it leaves folks a little thinking, right? What can I do to assist in my community to ensure those who are underserved are no longer underserved? So, Kathy Powers, I appreciate you today. Thank you so much for your service to the community. Thank you so much, and congratulations on your anniversary. And we look forward to connecting with you in the community.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.